at the end of the evening, I went to my hotel room and I sat there in the chair and I said, "What the heck was that?" And a little, very quiet voice that was right about here says, "Dee, it was what you asked for, only a little bit more than you might have done if you actually had to produce this yourself." So I said, wow, wow, wow. And that moment, that experience changed my life. Hi, I'm Dee Daniels, and this is Sandstone. Back in 1992, I had probably the best learning experience about performing, and I later realized it was about life that I've ever had up to that point. And this all came about from an invitation that I received to participate in the Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival. And Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival was a festival that was produced by the University of Idaho in Moscow. Actually, they call it Moscow, Idaho. In the beginning, when I first got the invitation, I just kind of assumed it was just a little maybe regional jazz festival where they would have performers come in, just a few, and they had asked that we would present a 1-hour clinic, sometime maybe the next day after our performance. And I kind of thought that was it. I said, okay, that's nice. I love singing, and of course I love teaching. So I was excited about that. And then about 1 week prior to the festival date, I received in snail mail, 1992, a program of the artists that had been invited. And mind you, now this was like a 4-day festival that started on a Wednesday and ended on a Saturday. So when I got this program, I was just totally amazed. Matter of fact, I think I went into shock because this thing was huge. They had, at that particular year, they had about it must have been at least 80 musicians over the 4 days, right? And these musicians were living legends, young lions, and everything in between. Now, of all of the artists that were invited there were 7 singers over the 4 days. So now my night was Thursday night, and the other singer on my night happened to have been Al Jarreau. But let me just backtrack here for a moment and just give you some idea of the legends that were there. Of course, there was the great Lionel Hampton himself. There was the Hank Jones Trio, the Tommy Flanagan Trio. There were a myriad of horn players, Al Gray, Harry Sweets Edison, just names that you would not believe, And then there were the young lions at the time, like Russell Malone on guitar, Christian McBride on bass. Herb Ellis was part of the house band, so to speak. And I think another member of the house band was pianist Oliver Jones. And oh my God, they had Brian Brumberg, Ray Drummond on bass. I mean, just you name. Oh, the Roy Hargrove complete. His I think he had a quintet that year. It was amazing, amazing. So here we are. We arrive at the festival, and like I said, on my night was that was the Thursday night, and the other singer was Al Jarreau. And I said, "Oh my God!" Now, the festival was produced inside the Kibbe Dome there at the University of Idaho. Now, the Kibbe Dome is a huge dome where they play football in the winter, and there are thousands and thousands of seats. Well, I think that year there must have been about 10,000 students that came to this festival because it was an educational festival and a competitive educational festival. So all of the performers, the musicians, they were in concert at night, and I think most of them would present a clinic the next day, and then they would go. So they would come in, do the show, and the next day they do the clinic, and they'd be gone. Now, a lot of these guys traveled from New York. There were some of the artists were from Russia and from a couple other countries, but they would come in, and many of them would only play one song because there were so many artists, and they would combine these artists in very unique formations. You know, sometimes they had not played together, certainly as a group. You know, so the music was so interesting and so exciting and so different, so new. There's so much energy going on there, right? Now, the singers, they would give the singers maybe 2, 3 songs, and if you were a big star like Al Jarreau, you would have 4 songs. So I was lucky enough to be able to sing 3 songs, right? And because there were so many artists per night, and they were changing every night, nobody played 2 nights in a row, nothing like that, because there were so many, that the concerts would last for at least 3 hours. Now, mind you, this was a very, very organized situation. So there wasn't a situation where you'd have some musicians come up on stage, play a song, and then there's, 10, 15, 20 minutes in between. It was just like this, like a stream of musicians. It's so well organized, and they had this huge stage, and on the sides of the stage, because they built a stage especially for this, on the sides of the stage, they had these really tall velvet curtains, at least I think they were velvet, that must have been, a good 15 feet high. And behind the stage, they created a bistro. So they had dozens of big round tables. They had 3 RVs back there, and they were for the musicians who were performing that night to come in, put their instrument cases down, their coats or jackets, whatever, and they just kind of lounge out. And they served food back there. There was a whole other sound system there facing that way, and a huge big screen. So it was like having a party back there. It was a huge, incredible hang, because a lot of musicians, they were there either the day before or sometimes the day after their actual performance day. So a lot of these guys, they come together, and some hadn't seen each other in God knows when, how long, So it was just an incredible situation out front and behind the stage as well. So I hope that gives you an idea of what the atmosphere was like. Now, here we come to Thursday night. And as I mentioned earlier, the concerts were at least 3 hours of just virtually nonstop music. And for some reason, the organizer decided to put Al Jarreau and myself at the very end of the concert. I went first, okay? And just before I did, I knew I was going up. I knew I had to just get myself together, because my adrenaline was pumping so much. It felt like it was a fountain just spurting out of the top of my head. And that's not a good thing for a singer whose instrument happens to be internals. You need to have that. You want to have adrenaline, but you want to have it down, this just kind of flowing ever so gently, like a nice little brook, that has, maybe a cherry tree that's in blossom on the bank, and one little blossom falls down into this nicely flowing just little brook thing, and you can just see the blossom just twirling around on the current, of the street. That's kind of where I like to have my adrenaline. So in order to get to that place, I had to just stop. And when I stopped, I was just standing there on the side of the stage. Now, the stage was about 5 stairs high. So I was there on the side of the stage. Now, there's tons of people on both sides of the stage, and then you have the whole bistro scene going on behind the stage. So I felt like one of those commercials that you see where they have a person standing in the middle of a busy intersection in New York City. They're just standing there and going in all directions. Beside them, behind them, in front of them are these people, and they're just there, That's kind of what I felt like at that moment. And so I just closed my eyes and I said, okay, Dee, what do you want here tonight? Okay. And I said, well, I want to be able to make a difference in people's lives tonight. I just want to be used by Source to make a difference in people's lives tonight, to uplift, to inspire. And now, Source, to me, I can call Source God, love, or nothing. It doesn't matter. But a higher power, I just wanted to be used by that Source to touch people in ways that only Source knows they need to be touched. And the moment I thought that, the very moment the word catalyst came to mind, I said, yeah, that's it. I want to be a catalyst for Source, for love, to touch everybody 360 degrees in ways that only Source knows they need to be touched. And at that moment, as I'm completing that thought, in the blackness of having my eyes closed, there appeared a pipe. It was like a plumber's pipe with the elbow. And my perspective was from behind the pipe. And I could see the pipe in this black void because there was a very warm light source coming from right back there somewhere, just shining on the back of this pipe. And as it appeared, all of a sudden, it seemed like liquid light. This came from off the top of this screen, this black void here, into the mouth of the pipe. It was just flowing. It was very liquid, very dense, and just so warm. And when it came out the elbow, it was like a band of light that might be produced in a black room, a dark room that had a lamp with a lamp shade. You'd have that band of light coming out. So anyway, I'm seeing this, and in that moment, that adrenaline that I was talking about, it just kind of felt like someone had taken a pitcher of liquid honey and just poured it all over me, and that adrenaline that was like this, all of a sudden just kind of went down into my little brook, my little stream there, and I just felt totally relaxed and totally grounded, totally centered, totally focused, right? And at that moment, I felt as though, that I lifted maybe 6 inches above the ground. And at this moment, I hear the organizer beginning my introduction to perform. And I felt as though I was just kind of like this, just that high off the ground and just going towards the stage. And I felt like just up the stairs and all of a sudden, and now, ladies and gentlemen, Dee Daniels, and there I go, just floating to the center of the stage. And I started the first song of my 3. I completed that. I did an original tune that was a blues in a shuffle groove, right? And then the next song, my second song, I went to the piano to play a song because the night before, on Wednesday night, the leader of the rhythm section that accompanied me was it was led by pianist Oliver Jones, and Oliver and I had met one another about 7 months before in Canada because we did a jazz festival together. So Oliver was the only person in the whole place that knew I played piano because in the job we had in Canada, I played piano and he played Hammond B3, right? And we were doing a gospel set that closed out this jazz festival that we were attending. So he had told me on Wednesday night, he said, Dee, I'm only playing 2 of your 3 songs. And I said, Oliver, what do you mean? He said, I know you play, so you're going to have to play one of those songs. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I begged the man, please don't do that to me. First of all, he was there. Hank Jones was there. All of these other great pianists were there. And okay, so I went to church. My stepfather was a Baptist minister. And any Black Baptist minister in Oakland, California, if they have any children, somebody's going to play piano. Okay, well, that was me. So now I can play some gospel stuff, but to a jazz pianist, nope, that was not me. Okay, to take a solo, a linear solo, not me. But he said, I'm only playing 2 of your 3 songs. So I had to just get it together, and I said, okay, I got to play something that I'm comfortable with, right? I chose to play a gospel song, an old gospel that is set in a blues, like a 12-bar blues format with a bridge, okay? The song was called What Is This? So I went to the piano. Here I am on Thursday night, second song, went to the piano, and I'm thinking the whole time, oh my God, I'm going to have to take a solo. Okay, here we go. So I start the song, get to the point where I'm supposed to take the solo, and all of a sudden I see movement in my peripheral vision, and there's Lionel Hampton, Lionel Hampton, walking up towards me, mallets in hand, and he goes to his vibe, and he takes the solo. Oh, thank you, is what I was saying. Thank you. So I get through that song, and Lionel was supposed to come up on the third song, and we would do that together where he'd do all the solo work, but I'm standing back up again. Oliver's back at the piano. So we get through that third song, and as soon, the instant that I released the last note that I was singing, I had this experience that it was like a... And my body kind of jerked like that, and I think what I had been having was an out-of-body experience up to that point, and I was back. And at that moment, then I start shaking, and I said, oh my God, and all I want to do is get off the stage. Well, the stage, because it was so big, the exit off the stage was way over in the corner, but I had to go over to my left first because there's Lionel and Dr. Skinner, who is the founder and organizer of the festival. And, they always give the girls flowers, right? Roses. So I had to go over and get the roses first. And then I'm almost trotting, trying to get off the stage because my knees are shaking and everything. And there's Al Jarreau at the top of the stairs in the corner of the stage saying, Dee Daniels, go back. And I look back, and there's Lionel back beckoning me to come back. So I get out to Lionel and Doc Skinner, and I look out into the audience, and I realize the people are standing up, they're applauding, they're whistling, they're calling my name, and And I said, I didn't know I didn't say anything because I was just out of my mind then. But anyway, to make a long story a little bit shorter, at the end of the evening, I went to my hotel room and I sat there in the chair and I said, what the heck was that? And a little, very quiet voice that was right about here says, Dee, it was what you asked for, only a little bit more than you might have done if you actually had to produce this yourself, So I said, wow, wow, wow. And that moment, that experience changed my life. And it took me a little while to just put it all together, to assimilate it all. But what I realized was by stating my intention, that is what I wanted, and what I wanted was to be a catalyst or source to touch everybody in the room, in the building, in ways that only Source knew they needed to be touched, whatever that meant. What that intention did, it focused all of my energy, it connected with all like energy, and it brought me into the moment, that particular moment, all of my focused energy into that particular moment. And I realized that when you're in the moment, that's the only place that we really exist. That's the only place, that's the place where our power comes from. That's the place from which we create. And that is the place of love, because love is what it's all about. Love is the answer. And when I'm performing nowadays, from that moment on, I never, ever go to perform without going to that place. And that place is literally just one thought away. It's just a thought. It takes a thought and I'm there. And the very interesting thing to me, because like I said, that was in 1992. Every single time I get the same results, because it's not about, for me, it's not about me, Dee, the woman you see in the flesh. It's about my spirit. It's about the spirit of love. It's about the energy of love. It's about the healing light of love that I want to share. So in my mind, I have a very active mind. I have a gigantic zipper that goes from the top of my head all the way down to the tips of my toes. And I choose to reach in, open it up. And what happens is the moment I unzip and open up, this huge cavern of light, just very, very white light, just flows out. And it just fills up whatever room, whatever space I'm in. And I believe that every other person has that same light. Some people who come to my performances, they come and they're already unzipped because they want to have the experience together. Other people who may not know me, they may be partially zipped, just unzipped, just because maybe they like music. And some come that are totally zipped up because maybe it's a husband whose wife dragged him to come on to this concert, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. But I know that with intention and wanting to share, my desire to share, my intention to share this light, this love with people, it has the power to help everybody else unzip. And then you have this light from all of these sources all around you, the band, the monitor guy and the wings, the this and the that person, the light people, and everybody to share this light, this energy, because it's all from the same source. It's not different. Nobody has anything different. It's all from the same source. And it is the most incredible experience that I've ever had anytime. And that happens every single time that I get on that stage. And over time, of course, what I've discovered is I can do the same thing when I'm teaching. Because as a teacher, I give. It's about sharing information with the hopes of empowering people, uplifting students, inspiring them to find themselves and to be themselves and to share what they love, what the way they want to give to the planet. So the same thing happens because then I don't have to know exactly what's what and who they are and all that kind of stuff. It's just this willingness to share this energy because there's so much power in it that it goes to wherever they need at that moment to help them do what they want to do. And of course, then I started realizing, well, I can do this with other things too. So that's been my goal ever since that experience, is to give myself intention. The intention is to share love. The intention is to uplift, to inspire, um, and to make a positive difference in this world via my music.